700 meters beneath the frozen ground of Sweden's Arctic Circle lies a treasure more valuable than gold. Not oil, not diamonds, but 17 metallic elements most people have never heard of. Yet they power everything from your smartphone to the electric car in your driveway. In January 2023, Swedish mining giant LKAB made an announcement that sent shockwaves through boardrooms from Detroit to Berlin. They discovered Europe's largest rare earth deposit, over 1 million tons of rare earth oxides, enough to fundamentally reshape global supply chains and shift the balance of economic power. But here's what makes this discovery truly remarkable. It's not just about mining. It's about who controls the invisible elements that make modern life possible. And right now, one country dominates 85% of global rare earth processing. That country is not Sweden. So why is the world watching Sweden's frozen north? Because what happens next could determine who wins the race for technological supremacy in the 21st century. Let me paint you a picture of just how critical these so-called rare earth elements really are. Take neodymium and praseodymium, tongue twisters, I know. These two elements create the most powerful permanent magnets on Earth. Without them, electric vehicle motors would be the size of refrigerators, instead of fitting neatly under your car's hood. Wind turbines would need gearboxes so complex they'd break down constantly, instead of spinning silently for decades. Dysprosium and terbium make those magnets work at high temperatures. Cerium powers the catalysts in every car's exhaust system. Europium lights up your LED displays. Here's the staggering reality. Global demand for rare earths used in permanent magnets alone is projected to increase tenfold by 2050. The European Commission estimates Europe will need 500% more raw materials by 2050 just to meet its climate targets. We're talking about a $200 billion global market, one that could triple in size within a decade. But here's the catch. Despite being called rare, these elements aren't actually scarce in the Earth's crust. Cerium is more abundant than copper. The real challenge? Extracting and processing them, economically and safely. And right now, one country has mastered that game. China doesn't just dominate rare earth mining. It controls the entire value chain. While China produces 63% of the world's rare earths, it processes 85% globally and manufactures 92% of rare earth magnets. But the real stranglehold? China controls an estimated 99% of global refining capacity. This isn't by accident. For 2 decades, China has strategically built this dominance, using export quotas and duties as diplomatic weapons. In 2010, they cut rare earth exports to Japan during a territorial dispute. Prices soared overnight. In the 2019 trade war with the United States, rare earths became a geopolitical chess piece. Once again, for Europe, the dependency is even more stark. 98% of rare earth imports come from China. For heavy rare earths, the truly critical ones, Europe's dependence? 100%. Think about what this means for business. Every Tesla, every wind turbine, every defense contractor building precision-guided systems, all depend on materials controlled by a single country. It's like having your entire tech industry's supply chain running through one narrow bridge, and someone else controls the toll booth. President Xi Jinping hasn't been subtle about this advantage. He's explicitly called rare earths a national strategic asset. The message is clear: control the elements, and you control the industries of the future. Now, enter Sweden's discovery. The Pergeiger deposit near Kiruna isn't just big, it's transformational. At one point, 7 to 2.2 million tons of rare earth oxides. It could supply up to 18% of Europe's total rare earth needs once fully developed. But here's what makes this discovery truly strategic. It's not a standalone rare earth mine. These elements are found alongside LKAB's existing iron ore operations. That means rare earths become a byproduct of mining that was happening anyway. Sweden can produce rare earths with built-in economic resilience. They're not betting everything on volatile rare earth prices, because iron ore provides the primary revenue stream. The deposit contains all 17 rare earth elements, including the critical ones Europe desperately needs: neodymium and praseodymium for EV motors and wind turbines, dysprosium and terbium for high-temperature applications, and cerium for catalysts and batteries. LKAB's CEO Jan Mostrom put it perfectly. Without mines, there can be no electric vehicles. Sweden isn't just offering an alternative source. They're offering supply chain security for the green transition. The European Union got the message loud and clear. In October 2024, they designated LKAB's rare earth projects as strategic projects under the Critical Raw Materials Act. That means fast-tracked permits and opened funding channels for what Brussels considers essential to European sovereignty. Let's talk about who wins when Sweden's rare earths hit the market. First, European manufacturers. They get a local, reliable feedstock. German automaker suppliers like Schaeffler have already signed 5-year contracts to buy rare earth products from Sweden's Nordic processing chain. Imagine being a wind turbine manufacturer like Vestas or Siemens Gamesa. No more navigating Chinese export restrictions and price volatility. Instead, you have a stable supplier in your backyard, powered by clean Nordic hydropower. For the automotive sector, this is massive. Every electric vehicle needs roughly 1 kilogram of rare earth elements in its motor. European car makers, Volkswagen, BMW, Volvo, could soon source these critical materials from within the EU. Shorter supply chains lower geopolitical risk. The defense implications? Equally significant. Sweden is joining NATO, and rare earths are essential for precision-guided missiles, radar systems, and advanced weaponry. A NATO ally producing these materials domestically strengthens the entire alliance's supply security. But here's where it gets really interesting for Swedish business. LKAB is building the entire value chain domestically. They're not just digging raw materials and shipping them to China for processing like most Western companies. They've partnered with Norwegian company REE Tech to build separation facilities that deliver the finished rare earth oxides manufacturers actually need. This means Sweden captures the high-value processing stage. No more exporting raw concentrates. REE Tech's technology slashes carbon emissions by 90% compared to conventional Chinese processes. Powered entirely by Norwegian hydropower. And here's the kicker. European companies increasingly demand sustainable materials. Sweden is positioning itself to command a premium for green rare earths. What makes Sweden's approach truly innovative is the circular economy model they're pioneering. Instead of immediately opening new mines, LKAB is first extracting rare earths from existing iron ore mining waste. Starting in 2026, their demonstration plant in Luleå will process mine tailings to produce rare earth concentrates, phosphoric acid for fertilizers, and pure gypsum for construction. This waste-to-wealth approach means Sweden enters the rare earth market, years ahead of when the main Kiruna mine comes online. By 2030, just from processing existing waste, they'll supply an estimated 2.5% of Europe's rare earth demand. The sustainability credentials matter enormously in today's market. Sweden's strict environmental standards, its renewable energy grid, and its commitment to indigenous rights, working with the Sami people whose lands overlap the mining areas, create a stark contrast with mining operations elsewhere. Companies like Apple, Tesla, Samsung, they face increasing pressure to source materials responsibly. And Swedish rare earths, produced under EU environmental standards, with renewable energy and full traceability, offer exactly what these brands need to meet their sustainability commitments. But let's be realistic about the challenges. while waste-based production starts this decade. Full-scale mining at Kiruna won't begin until the mid-2030s at the earliest. Sweden's rigorous environmental permitting process, the same standards that make their operations attractive to buyers, also means lengthy approval timelines. The real test will be balancing speed with sustainability. Europe desperately needs these materials for the green transition. But Sweden must navigate concerns from indigenous Sami communities about disruption to traditional reindeer herding lands. Getting this balance right will determine whether Sweden becomes a model for responsible rare earth development or faces the kind of community opposition that has stalled other mining projects. Infrastructure investment is another hurdle. The Arctic location requires upgrades to power grids, rail capacity, and port facilities. But Sweden is treating this as an opportunity, building 21st-century sustainable mining infrastructure from the ground up, rather than retrofitting old systems. Here's the bottom line. Sweden's rare earth discovery isn't just about geology, it's about economic architecture. Will Europe build supply chain independence or remain vulnerable to external manipulation of critical materials? The elements hidden beneath Sweden's frozen ground could power the next generation of electric vehicles, make renewable energy cheaper and more reliable, and ensure that democratic nations aren't held hostage by authoritarian suppliers of critical materials. But potential isn't destiny. Sweden has the resources the world needs. The question that will define the next decade is this: will they transform this discovery into a business revolution that reshapes global supply chains? Or will they let others continue to control the game? The world is watching Sweden's Arctic for good reason. What happens next in that frozen ground 700 meters underground could determine who leads and who follows in the most important industries of our time. The hidden power is real. Now we'll see if Sweden can unlock it. Thanks for watching. If you found this video useful, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Capital Compass, so you won't miss any future deep dives into the forces shaping our world. See you in the next video.